Hey, can I pet your dog? Hey, you mind if I pet your dog? Does he bite? Okay, guys. So I found something in my recommended, and we all know that Lucas has came back. And this video is titled "Does Lucas Deserve Redemption?" by the creator by the name of Chojimi. Chojimi. Um, all transparency, I don't like remember to the full extent of like what happened, if we're being honest. So this will be me, I guess, what's the word? Like not like relearning. Yeah, let's say relearning and finding out what happened and just have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? We haven't really had dialogue in a while. Well, we have. We definitely have. I don't know why I said that. We definitely have. But yeah, I don't really think I ever even talked about this event, like what happened. So let's do it.
The Freeze documentary posted to YouTube sees Lucas vaguely confirming that he did a bad thing and that he feels like he let the members of NCT and Wavy, his friends and his family, all down. It
Seems Lucas vaguely confirming what he did. That he did a bad thing. Okay.
and that he feels like he let the members of NCT and Wavy, his friends and his family, all down. It's him very loosely admitting to having done a bad thing, how this hiatus has affected and changed who he is as a person, and how he's now ready to stop feeling the way that he does. So, for those of you who don't know, very quickly, in 2021, Lucas was accused of allegedly cheating on, gaslighting, stealing money, and abusing ex-girlfriends in the past who all came forward with personal testimonies.
Oh God. Oh, that's no good. Goodness gracious.
The tough part to all of this is that they were all accusations, and this documentary doesn't explicitly state what Lucas is admitting to here. Does he acknowledge that he did all of this, or just some of it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. In terms of like just looking at like people on the internet and just like looking at people with platforms is well, let's say on the side of like hip hop and shit like that. Let's say on this side or just the American side. What I have gathered is that if you admit to anything, you kind of admit to everything. You know what I'm saying? It's either you admit to doing some things and then they just think you just did everything, or you just be quiet and all that's in the dark will come to light. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It is very vague from the first 40 seconds that, we've been talking about this, but yeah, that's usually how it really goes. Let's say over here. And if I'm wrong, you can definitely say I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying?
That's unfortunately not an answer we get here. People throughout this whole situation have dissected the testimonies, pointed out inconsistencies between them, and accused the testimonies of being not wholly or partially truthful. I'll link a mega thread of the entire situation in the description below because there is a lot to this. Learning about the Freeze documentary before watching it, I thought surely SM knew something about this whole situation to not only continue supporting him, but relaunching him to represent the company again.
Of course they knew something was going on. Of course. Sometimes it's kind of hard to believe that a whole label that's like ingrained in somebody's damn near their psyche doesn't know that something like this is going on, and they just choose to keep it hush hush because I don't know. I don't really see a lot of people coming out with an accusation or coming out with a testimony unless they try to get it in the proper channels and it didn't work. Of course, the opposite is a thing. Like, of course, people will come out and say, like, this happened to me, this, that, and the third. And shout out to the people that do that. But it's like, if you go through certain channels to try and get this out there or get this handle or get justice, the people you want it to get justice from or the people you look for justice to will let you down, which is like what they always do. So, at the end of the day, I'm saying SM knew. We not gonna no. SM already knew.
If
They had
even
to
one
have.
aspect of everything he was accused of in 2021 was true, that is way too much of a burden for SM as a brand to have to take up. It's not worth it, right? And SM surely hasn't expressed a willingness to help their idols out in this way before, which I'll talk about later, but that's what I thought. Surely SM has evidence that disproves Lucas was actually involved with anything he was accused of. Otherwise, why else would they be releasing a documentary? Why else would so much effort go into rebuilding his image? After watching Freeze, I don't have an answer to that. I don't know why SM did this. This documentary is not attempting to prove his innocence, but rather it is a PR padded admission of guilt and a request for audiences to let him move on.
Well, what about the people? What about the people that the shit allegedly happened to? Like I don't know, shit.
Lucas speaks about how much this situation has affected him, how much he's changed as a person, but all of this is in the backdrop of high quality film footage of him reenacting the moments he's describing. It
I have
feels
to watch
incredibly
this.
tone deaf in the end, and this seems to be the more ugly parts of the entertainment industry rearing its head. Rather than him admitting to the accusations in all honesty and committing to moving on, a spectacle is made out of this entire situation. It's not a good look.
It's also a way for them to make money though. Like I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that a whole company is going to be like, oh, we could just make some money from this.
In attempting to rebuild his image, as this documentary becomes the thing that's attempting to tell us how much he's changed rather than showing it. You can't really show how much Lucas has changed within the confines of a film production documentary. With this in mind, I can't really move past Lucas reenacting how he only stayed inside during his hiatus, or the film crew with various different angles in the boxing studio attempting to simulate an organic reunion with him and his boxing instructor.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. One of the things that kind of tickles me is when somebody's trying to like reenact something that happened to them or something that they've done, or like in a way of trying to like do those things where it's like, oh, I've been locked in, I've been locking in. Like you have to reenact it. It's like it's like a story breaking on Inside Edition or one of them news channels, and they got to reenact what happened. They got to show like, oh, I was on my computer. And then they just show them on the computer just typing bullshit. And they never show the screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's those type of things. Like, I'm not surprised that they made a spectacle out of this. I'm not surprised they made a documentary. If I was SM, I probably would do the same thing. Because you want to know why? My track record is not really the best of the best morally sound decisions. So it's like, fuck it.
It wasn't organic. It can't be because the cameras were already there, right? Already in the studio. And consequently, because there's too much to the documentary and how it was filmed that we as an audience don't know about, it's hard to take this as honest instead of staged. Despite all of this, despite my problems with this documentary and how dramatized it is, I primarily wonder what SM could possibly benefit from doing something like this. At face value, this seems to be the company turning over a new leaf, doubling down on protecting their artists rather than abandoning them like they have in the past. Of course, this invokes discussions about the treatment of SNSD Jessica and more recently Rise's Seunghan, in which both of their, quote, infractions pale in comparison to what Lucas has been accused of. Considering the situation with Seunghan is still quite fresh, and with Lucas's solo debut in mind, I wonder if SM won't attempt to do the same thing with Seunghan or even allow him to rejoin Rise at some point in the future. But again, I can't stress how drastically different Lucas and Seunghan's situations are from each other. Lucas isn't just coming back from being canceled by the public, he's coming back from supposedly actually doing the things he was accused of, which by nature have hurt other people. Which brings me to what I wanted to discuss in this video. Does Lucas deserve redemption in this way? If you're watching this, I'd like to ask you for a moment to look at this situation with as much nuance as possible, disregarding SM Entertainment's poor treatment of other idols in the past and honing in to observe the situation in isolation. Does Lucas deserve to be redeemed? I don't think there's a right answer here.
I'm going to be honest with you. In terms of this, I do believe in redemption, but I do believe in redemption under condition. You know what I'm saying? Like, the condition with redemption for me is like, you deserve redemption or not deserve. Like you can get, is it deserve? Deserve sounds like, oh, I'm owed this. That's what that sounds like. But I would say you can get redemption if you hadn't done anything to physically or sexually or just like harm somebody, in the sense of like you alter their life forever. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Of course, like the cheating and stuff like that is bad, and it is bad. It, I mean, it depends. It may alter your life forever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to talk about somebody who, I'm not about to talk like somebody who hasn't been in a situation like that, and like just stuff along those lines. You know, not finna go into stuff that I've been through in my life, but I'm saying like, I say a it's a case by case basis. Sometimes I do think like, oh, if the person who's been done wrong, I feel like they should have a say on what happens to the person in terms of redemption. You know, I feel like that probably would be one of the many things that we can like agree on. If not, let me know in the comments down below. But it's just like, I mean, hey man, shit, like you did the person wrong. You fucked them up. Let them choose what happens to you. It's only like what, a 50-50 chance they gonna choose you get fucked up back or they forgive you. And that you getting fucked up back maybe lead to you getting fucked up even more for some overcorrection. That may be the case. I say it's up to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say like I'm an eye for an eye type of person, but if you punch me in the face, I ain't really gonna send you to jail. You just gonna have to take your chin out and take a punch from me type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that type, like it's an eye for an eye, but like we not taking our eyes out, if that makes sense. Like you punch me in the eye, I punch you in the eye. If you gouge my eye out, I gouge your eye out. But if you punch me in the eye, I'm not gonna take your eye out, you know? I don't know. That probably doesn't make much sense, but I don't know.
I do believe people can change. My problem is that there's, of course, no way to know when or how they've changed.
A way to know how somebody changed is put them in the same situation and see what happens. Like put them in the same situation, like the same exact. Of course, this is ideal, but I feel like ways that you can do that is like put them in situations where they test their moral high ground now from their, what's it called, their moments of trying to change or healing or whatever the hell they like to call it. You know what I'm saying? And know that they might relapse, but it depends on what the first infraction was. That could be a way to know if somebody changed. Put them in the same exact situation.
If people are genuine or not. Lucas explains how depressing this whole situation has been for him, how badly it's affected his mental health, and the, quote, solution to these problems throughout the documentary is to re-debut as a solo artist in the entertainment industry. The thing he needs to fix him and keep him going is to regain the adoration of his fans. That feels incredibly dystopian.
Oh, Jesus.
And is my primary problem with this whole project. This isn't a question about whether or not he should be redeemed, whether he deserves to be forgiven or not, but rather the question of, does he deserve to be an idol again? That is a deeply complex question that both SM Entertainment and Lucas benefit from there not being a definitive right answer to. Being an idol is often a very vain thing, and expressing a dependency on regaining the support of people he largely doesn't know as the thing that can fix him feels all the more questionable about the intentions behind all of this. I think Lucas just wants to be an idol again, but as an idol, and especially in Korea, there's an understanding that you have to represent the most ideal character traits with the platform you've been given.
Yeah.
The complexity here that is always going to hang over Lucas's story is the way that idols in the past have won, gotten away with, and were able to continue being idols after doing much worse, and inversely, idols who have been blacklisted or excommunicated for much less. In SM Entertainment, again, Jessica and Seunghan are an open wound in the wake of this whole story. To me, the beating heart of this documentary is the meeting with his longtime friends in Hong Kong. The conversation they have about their childhood, growing up, and their lives now attempts to represent that Lucas has been a good person.
I'm not gonna lie to you, like stuff like this kind of gives me a headache because it's like, yeah, you would want to it's like you would want to show that you're making the change, but there's always this cloud over your head. Is like, bro, you're literally recording this and showing this like as if it's like a documentary, like this is. Like, and especially if you're somebody who like records videos and stuff, you know that there's certain things that have to get re-recorded. unless you just record the whole raw conversation or go live. Like you go live with no practice or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some talking points, but you don't get time to like practice like what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like when we play basketball or when you go like do like a 3-on-3, there's like an underlying rule. It's like you don't let them get a practice shot in. You don't let them get a practice shot in before the game because they're gonna be prepared. They're gonna know. They're gonna have the feeling of what it's like when the shot goes in. That's why you don't let them get no practice shots. No practice shots here when it comes to stuff like this. But it's like, I mean, it's catch-22 in my opinion. Because if I did some fucked up shit, I'm pretty sure I would like to at least record and show that I've been trying to do nice things. But there's that overlying thing. Is like, bro, I'm just recording this just to show that I'm a good person, and you should think I'm a good person now because I recorded myself doing this. I recorded myself giving to the homeless. I am a good person. See, it's on video that I gave this homeless man a sandwich. You know, I don't really even think there's an actual right answer to it. I wish there would be one, but I can't come to the conclusion with one.
Or that he is a good person by nature, as his friends have always known him. It's weird, again, to observe this conversation knowing it's being filmed for a documentary, but it's very effective considering the message they want to convey.
And also, just because you did a bad thing doesn't make you a bad person. I think what makes you a bad person is that if you do a wrong thing and your response to that wrong thing is like showing that you really don't care that you did a wrong thing. Like if you did something wrong and somebody calls you out on it and you be like, no, fuck you. Like, then yeah, that could be an indication that you're a bad person. Maybe you did a bad thing, but if you just keep doing bad shit and then you're like, your response is just like more bad, then yeah, you're probably a bad person. Like if you walk around Earth scorching that hoe, you're probably an arsonist, you know? You know what I'm saying? And also just because you did a good, I'm just trying to think like, okay, yeah, we get you were a good person when you were growing up. Cool. You did some bad things. True. Are you able to take this redemption arc on the chin? Because like if you want an actual redemption arc, you're gonna have to go through that fire. And it seems like he went through that fire. You know, so it's like, we'll have to see as time goes. But then again, he could just hide him doing more bad shit so it wouldn't come out. Or maybe he could be a good person and just not do bad shit. That's if he actually did said bad shit. Because they still say accusations. Y'all know how I feel when it comes to shit like that. We gonna see. We gonna see.
His friend mentioned how surprising it was to hear the news about Lucas's incident. That's the narrative this documentary seems to want to conclude on. It was surprising for the people who know him, and so what he did was out of his character. He's ready to move on from his mistakes, which apparently do not represent who he actually is.
And you also don't really know anybody for real. You don't. You don't know anybody, in all honesty. Like, it don't matter. It don't matter. Bro, sometimes you probably don't even know your own family. You know? You can't truly know a person's true character because they literally can just, well, one way to do that is to live with them, but like they could still hide who they are. Like just because y'all are friends don't mean that they were a shitty person. And you were just surprised by this. That don't really have too much weight, in my opinion. I don't think it has that much weight to hold on it because it's like, I mean, hey man, some parents don't know that their kids was toting pistols and shit, shooting niggas, robbing niggas, and all that. They don't know. They don't know that. Of course, that's their kid, but they don't know what the kids be doing. They don't know what their child be. They don't know what their child be doing. Their child could be hiding everything under a sock, and you wouldn't even know. That's because if you find out, you gonna be distraught because you're like, I never thought this was you. This wasn't you. Whole time it probably was them the whole time, and they was just showing you their representative. That's just to say you don't really know people like you really think they do, like you do,
it. But it's hard to do that when he doesn't admit to those mistakes. It's always referred to as the incident throughout the documentary, but what does that mean? Does
The
he
incident.
accept all of the accusations against him? That's not an answer we get with this documentary. His friend concludes their conversation by saying the most important thing after making a mistake is to know how to redeem yourself. And then he goes back to kind of reiterate that it's not how you redeem yourself, but you have to know that you must do something about it. And that is the underbelly of this whole documentary that makes me feel uncomfortable about it. What is Lucas going to do about this? Is this documentary him doing something about it for himself and not for the people he supposedly hurt? To me, doing something to redeem yourself as an idol would involve doing advocacy work to prevent situations like he supposedly caused. If you want to be an idol again, what better way to redeem yourself than to utilize your position as an idol to try and inspire positive change in the world?
Yeah.
That to me is the only way that I could ever see him attempting to absolve himself, though never entirely. You can't really redeem yourself from negatively impacting other people's lives. This is what I think. It's certainly a lot to think about, but as far as whether or not he's deserving of being an idol again doesn't really matter. He is said to be a solo artist already. This documentary is opening that door for him, and this is him supposedly redeeming himself in every sense. My problem, I guess, or my existing problem is that there's no credence given to the people he has supposedly hurt. No apology or acknowledgement given to that situation than just vaguely calling it an incident, right?
Well, shit. That kind of adds a little bit more context to if the nigga is really redeeming himself for real, or if he wants to actually take the time to right these wrongs. If Cuz ain't apologize to the people, then what are we doing?
I think the real implications of all of this will unfortunately have to be in the long term. There's nothing definitive that we can pull from this situation right now. What will Lucas do with his career as an idol? Will he redeem himself by contributing to some kind of positive change? We're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see. Additionally, does this mark the start of SM committing to protecting their artists and giving them second chances by supporting them? Is this indicative of how they will handle the situation with Seunghan? Again, we'll have to find out these answers given time. Yeah, I think that's what I think, or what I've pulled from this documentary. I don't really have an answer. I don't think I can be the one to definitively say that he should be either forgiven or allowed to be an idol again. Nobody really can, except for the people he hurt that led him to being in this situation, which was not addressed at all. I think it would have been effective if he at least would have described the situation that led him to where he is now. It would have made for a better trajectory of character throughout the documentary, but also from a PR standpoint, I understand SM's unwillingness to have Lucas explicitly admit to doing anything. Yeah, it's a complex issue. All of this is exponentially so when you consider the precedents for redemption in the idol industry and in SM entertainment specifically. So yeah, those are all of my notes after watching the Freeze documentary. Thank you for watching this. If you did, definitely let me know what you think if you see this documentary or this entire situation in a different way. I'll really be interested to know about different perspectives on this, especially. Yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time.
This was kind of alright. I like this dialogue, but what I got from this honestly is that one, I do need to watch this documentary for myself, but seeing somebody's like review of it, it kind of feels like this is like they're like, oh, does he deserve redemption? Does he deserve to be an idol again? Like you're asking a question as you're trying to pose him or prepare him to be an idol. It's like when you walking and you see somebody walking their dog and you ask them, can you pet their, like, no, say you walking your dog, right? And somebody comes up to me and my dog, while asking me to pet my dog, the nigga's hand and face is already in front of my dog. So it's like, it feels like if you say yes or no, I'm touching your dog. Like the dog is already breathing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm dead ass ask you, hey, can I pet your dog? Hey, you mind if I pet your dog? Does he bite? Like I'm already here. I'm already fucking here. So it's like you might as well. You might as well. That's pretty much what I got from it. But I do think from this point of view, this was explained well because there's not really a solution. The solution is we have to wait and time will tell. I feel like that's kind of the realest solution and conclusion you could come from some shit like this. So time will tell. Let me know what you think though. Will time tell? Let's take the time to tell.